The brace hop is a technique that we like to teach players, both offensive and defensive players, to use as a finishing tool when dealing with a stalemate across the line of scrimmage in a one-on-one situation, or in the event that they're getting pushed backwards and they need an answer. They can't just open up and turn. We want to stay square. We want to reset leverage, getting back to that arc strength position. That's what the brace hop technique does. And in the first video that we put out, which is called the brace hop with a partner, that's a great drill for us to develop what it feels like to work the hands, simultaneously refitting the hands against another person in competition. But what it doesn't simulate is kind of the speed. So what we've done here is we've added to that drill by adding the physio ball, which will gain kind of an impact and put together what feels like more of a realistic game speed capacity, where you're really getting pushed back and you have to respond to pressure. So in this drill, we're going to teach the brace hop using the physio ball. To execute this drill, we're going to need 2 players, and we're going to need a physio ball, like John has here, a Swiss ball, whatever you want to call it. Basically a physical therapy ball, something that's bouncy, that's full of air, that's going to simulate that bounce of impact that we're looking for to help us simulate real contact and we're getting pushed back on the field. So what we're going to do now is Mike's going to be the player that's going to be executing the brace hop, taking on the force of the ball, and John is his partner. And John's going to put that ball flush to his chest, to his stomach, okay? Mike's going to start from the 2-point coil position, okay? Now, granted, he's not going to do this in real football. We're going to put our hands behind our back, okay? I don't recommend doing that in real football, but this is one of those situations where we're just trying to develop an element of the process. So Mike's got his hands behind his back in the 2-point coil position. He's going to start the drill by firing his feet, okay? When I say foot fire, go. Now, John's going to advance and bounce the ball off of Mike's chest. Okay, ready, go. Boom. Now Mike has to hop, brace hop, okay? So this is kind of what the drill looks like. I'm going to take you through the step-by-step coaching points so you can execute it properly. Number 1, when Mike's the ideal position to end in on the brace hop, okay, is, and we got to remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to put ourselves back in the arc strength position. That means a position with our feet behind us, ultimately in real contact, our hands would be in front of us, our hips would be at extension, to realize that arc strength position, which is strong, not only to, I guess, address the stalemate, to finish a stalemate, but also to recover leverage in the event that you're getting pushed backward. So a couple key coaching points when you're going to brace hop. Number 1, when we hop, we want to make sure players aren't getting too high off the ground. Otherwise you're going to set sail, you're going to find yourself in bad shape. We don't want to do that. We're really just skimming the ground. So as Mike braces and hops backwards, he's going to do it incrementally. We don't want to go too far. Granted, I mean, with the force of momentum, we'd rather do multiple incremental hops to stop force than try to do one big one, okay? So what we're trying to do is, as we hop backward, our feet are going to start, we're always going to have our toes pointed out, but when we hop and land, the feet are actually going to widen further than they would be on a normal base. What that does is it helps condense us, lowers our center of gravity. We focus on landing on the insteps. Simultaneous to that, very, very important, our hips are going to start to come to extension while we're in air, if you will. I wouldn't call it air, but as we're brace hopping, when we land and stick the feet, we want our hips to be extended. We got that posterior pelvic tilt, neutral spine, arc strength position, the position of strength back to, so we can stop force, okay? So in other words, when John's pushing with Mike wants to land in that position, arc strength, where we have our knees go down and out, hips are tucked through with a tuck in the tail, our head is out, and we're back in a position of power that we can stop force. A couple coaching points that you want to make sure that players are you're addressing as a coach, because the technique in this thing can go sloppy if you don't watch it. One is leaning on the ball. You're going to find that players want to stop force, and again, one of the tendencies, it's a natural kind of instinctive thing for people to do, is when they feel pressure coming from a certain plane forward, what do? They try to stop it by leaning on it. Well, what that does is it creates a situation where our hips are behind us. We're not strong. We want our hips to come through. So make sure players aren't leaning on the ball. Another issue is when they try to anticipate contact. And the way we address this is we close our eyes. It's fun because, in football, when it comes to force contact, this kind of thing after contact, because again, the brace hop isn't addressing initial impact. It's addressing everything that happens after impact to recover leverage. And in that case, it's something we're not actually visually seeing. It's something we're feeling. So by closing your eyes as you get better at this drill, it actually helps players respond quicker to pressure. Okay, another element that, or at least value add that we gain from this drill when it comes to real football technique is after contact with the ball, as Mike bounces back, there's going to be separation. As he brace hops, there's going to be separation between him and John holding the ball. what we want Mike to do after he brace hops, finds himself and sticks that landing, he's going to close space, okay? He's going to come back to close space with John, but he's going to do so with really tight foot fire, small steps, and as he's doing that, taking real incrementally small steps, he's going to bring his hips back to the ball just to simulate some of the movements that we're seeing on the field after contact. Because remember, we don't want to be playing with big, heavy, long steps. That puts us in a compromised position, disables our hips, and basically destabilizes us so we can get thrown by opponents. Another way to keep players honest as they get better at the brace hop with the physio ball is to incorporate fakes, okay? Fake the ball, we're gonna kind of hesitate and don't just come at him rhythmically. Let them get good at it first, you know, and then start to add those fakes in so they're not anticipating through the visual, but they're really more responding to the feel, the pressure feel that they get when contact occurs. Okay, last thing I want to share before we get going on this drill is that the guy holding the ball, like, take this thing slow, right? This thing is designed to bounce you off of the other guy. It's pretty crazy how much force you can create. Doesn't take a big guy, doesn't take a whole lot of momentum, but that's what's nice about the physio ball. It's really bouncy. So start off slow, don't go crazy. You don't want the guy, you know, losing, you know, getting discouraged because you ran him over. So we want to stay under control. You can slowly and incrementally add more pressure as you go. So let's get started. I'm going to show John. We got John holding the ball again, surface to surface. He's not holding it with his hands. It's really flush to his stomach. He wants to make sure he aims and lands the ball on Mike's chest, okay? Mike's got his head back. Mike's in the two-point coil position. I'm going to say foot fire, okay? And then go, and then that's the commands, and they're going to get started. Ready, foot fire, go. Boom. Now Mike's in a closed space. That's it, right. Awesome. Great job. We look for the posture. We want to make sure all those postures exist. You guys know the deal. But the other thing we want to do is, as a partner, when you're doing this, you can do multiple reps, but let the guy get situated. Let him get set in between shots. Don't just keep firing at him. Let him get back to base and so he can find that posture. Because again, it's not just about how much movement we're doing. It's really about the quality of movement and the mechanics that we're trying to really nail so we can develop our players. So this stuff isn't just conceptual or theoretical. It's practical when contact happens.